Madam Speaker, rise to support the ratification of this convention. Madam Speaker, this is an extremely important convention. It's a global treaty. I'm actually happy that so many African countries have signed in, because these silent things that don't attract many of us to the house are actually very important. And our people from other continents know that, and this lack of interest from us is beautiful to them. They do what they want. So this international convention, I think we should sign it. It was negotiated in Geneva in 2013, came into force in 2017, and a lot of African countries, as the mover said, have signed it. But the main thing is actually, what is the impact of mercury? Why do we need a convention on mercury? Because this convention seeks to ban further mining of mercury, face down the use of mercury, control emissions of mercury into the air, into land, and into water. And how does this happen? We have daily use of mercury in gold mining. Particularly this country, gold mining is probably the most important. The artisan, small-time gold mining, to a large extent, they use mercury in the process. It is used in fuels, particularly coal. We don't use a lot of coal in this country, but there's some part where coal is and actually can be used, and even other fuels. In pesticides, some of the pesticides we use actually do contain mercury. Instruments, if you look at thermometers, if you look at manometers, they actually have mercury. And there are many in hospitals. When they break down, what happens to them? Where does the mercury go? So that is really important. In dental filling, I think in some of our clinics, perhaps they are still used. So there's a lot of mercury in the environment. But then why are we concerned? We get exposed to them. If you use pesticides through breathing, consumption, particularly in food and fish, this, if there is use in industry and the waste is into water, it goes into fish and food, and we use it, and just physical contact. And then what does it do, Madam Speaker? The main culprit is actually a form of mercury that gets into the body, is methyl mercury. And if it gets into the body, great damage to the brain. You get serious neurological defects, abnormal movements, mental disorders, paralysis, and people even die, particularly in the acute stage. But worse still is the chronic place where you get it gradually and it accumulates in the brain. People start to get mental disorders, people start getting abnormal movements, they get paralyzed, they get numb, and eventually they can't use their limbs, they can't feel, and because of that, they get almost to amputations, and they have a lot of problems. And even worse, if it's used, particularly by pregnant women, it actually gets into children. And then, again, slow damage, children are born with mental damage, small heads, they are paralyzed, and they become pink, called the pink disease. And this is actually where the word Minamata comes from, because this was a big problem in Japan, in Mutembei, where women were giving birth to children who had malformed, who had this problem, and people didn't know. Between 1950, 60, up to I think 68, when they actually settled down that it is actually mercury. And that was the Mutembei disease from the fish that women were eating. And that is why it attracted international attention, and the process for the convention started. So I think it is something you should support. And the other thing I like about this, Madam Speaker, is that the convention realizes that when we have to move away from this, you will need some technical support. And it provides actually even financial support through global environment facility, where we have to co-fund it. And I think here as a country we should take advantage.
Please give him 1 more minute.
Thank you. Today I'm very lucky. Eh? So if
That's self-incriminating.
yeah, well, I get. So if you have co-funding where if you get $1, you get $4. Why don't you put that $1 and get $4? And you'll get a technical assistance. And it is in line with our laws. But we may have to look at our laws. Pharmacy and Poisons Act, we may have to look at it when we are doing this. The Mining Act, because of what we use, and even the Petroleum Act, should we use coal? And with that, Madam Speaker, I do support this. These discussions this afternoon are extremely important, and we should move as a country, support them, but put in place structures to monitor what is happening. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Nyikal. The Honorable Naomi Wako, member for Marsabit.